Hello, history fans. Welcome back to 5 Point Historian. We have all seen the movies. You see a brave knight in shining armor riding a white horse. He is romantic, he is noble, and he fights with a magical sword. When he falls down, he cannot get up because his armor is too heavy. It looks amazing on the screen, but I have to tell you a secret. Almost everything you see in movies is a lie. Hollywood cares about drama, not history. Today, we are going to break the myths and look at 5 lies movies told you about medieval knights. Before we put on our armor and start this battle against fake history, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps us fight for the truth. Now grab your sword, or maybe not, and let's begin. 1. The clumsy turtle myth, the weight of armor. We have all seen this scene in a comedy or an action movie. A knight falls off his horse. He lands on his back. He waves his arms and legs like a turtle that is stuck upside down. He cannot stand up because his metal suit is too heavy. This is the biggest lie in medieval history. The reality of engineering. Movies want you to believe that a suit of plate armor weighed 100 kilograms. In reality, a full suit of battle armor from the 15th century weighed only about 20 to 25 kilograms. This is very important to understand. Do you know how much equipment a modern soldier in the army carries today? A modern soldier carries a backpack, weapon, and body armor that weighs between 30 and 40 kilograms. So, a medieval knight was actually carrying less weight than a soldier today. Also, the armor was designed perfectly. The weight was distributed over the whole body, shoulders, waist, and legs. It didn't feel heavy on just one spot. The real story, Jean II. Le Mangre, Boucicaut. We have historical proof that knights were incredible athletes. There was a famous French knight named Jean II Le Mangre, also known as Boucicaut. He lived in the late 1300s. He was famous for his physical fitness. Historical records tell us that while wearing his full suit of armor, he could do amazing things. He could jump onto a horse without using the stirrups. He could run long distances. Most impressively, he could climb up the underside of a ladder using only his hands while wearing his armor. If a movie shows a knight moving slowly like a robot, it is wrong. A real knight was a tank, but he was a fast, agile tank. If he fell down, he could jump back up in 1 second and kill you. He was not a turtle, he was a tiger in a metal shell. 2. The sword was the main weapon. When you imagine a knight, what is he holding? A sword, right? In movies like King Arthur or Game of Thrones, everyone is swinging swords at each other. The swords cut through armor like it is made of butter. Clang, slash. It looks cool, but it is physically impossible. The physics of metal. Swords are sharp. They are designed to cut skin and muscle. But plate armor is made of hardened steel. If you hit a steel breastplate with a steel sword, the sword will just bounce off. It will not cut. It is like trying to cut a car door with a kitchen knife. It doesn't work. In a real battle against another armored knight, the sword was actually a secondary weapon. It was like a pistol is for a soldier today. You use it only when your main weapon is lost or broken. The real weapons, the poleaxe and the warhammer. So what did they use? They used weapons designed to smash. The most popular weapon for a knight on foot was the poleaxe or the warhammer. A warhammer is exactly what it sounds like. It is a heavy hammer on a stick. It does not need to cut the armor. It delivers a massive concussive force. If a knight hits you on the helmet with a hammer, the helmet might not break, but your skull inside the helmet will crack from the shock. The real tactic, half swording. If a knight did have to use a sword against armor, he wouldn't swing it. He would use a technique called half swording. This is very strange to see. The knight would hold the handle with one hand and grab the sharp blade with the other hand. Yes, wearing gloves. He would use the sword like a spear or a crowbar. He would try to stab the point of the sword into the tiny gaps of the armor, like under the armpit or into the eye slit. Real sword fighting was not swinging, it was wrestling and stabbing at weak points. 3. Chivalry meant being nice. This is the most romantic lie. We hear the word chivalry and we think of a gentleman. We imagine a knight opening a door for a lady, protecting the poor, and being kind to everyone. We think knights were the superheroes of the Middle Ages. I am sorry to break your heart, but chivalry was not about being nice. The warrior code. The code of chivalry was a set of rules for combat, not for kindness. It was an agreement between nobles. It basically said, if we fight, I promise not to kill you, if you promise not to kill me, so we can sell each other for ransom money. Knights were professional killers. They were often mercenaries. They didn't care about the poor peasants. In fact, hurting peasants was part of their job strategy. The real story, the chevauchée. During the 100 Years' War between England and France, English knights, like the famous Black Prince, used a tactic called chevauchée. This translates to horse charge, but it really meant burning raid. The knights would ride through the French countryside. They didn't fight the French army immediately. Instead, they burned every farm, killed the sheep, and destroyed the villages of innocent poor people. Why? To destroy the economy of the French king. These noble knights burned houses with families inside them. They stole food from starving children. This was not an accident. It was the plan. Chivalry only applied to rich people. If you were a rich knight, you were treated well. If you were a peasant, the knight was not your protector. He was your worst nightmare. The idea of the gentle knight was invented hundreds of years later by Victorian writers who wanted to romanticize the past. It is quite a shock to learn that our heroes were actually villains, isn't it? If you're enjoying this reality check, please like the video and subscribe to 5 Point Historian. We have 2 more massive lies to debunk. 4. The crane to mount the horse. There is a specific scene in many old movies and cartoons. A knight is getting ready for battle. His armor is so heavy and thick that he cannot climb onto his horse. So his servants attach a rope to him, and a machine called a crane lifts him into the air and drops him onto the saddle. The origins of the myth. People believe this myth because they think of King Henry VIII. In his later years, King Henry was very fat and unhealthy, and he did wear heavy tournament armor. He might have needed help. But for the average medieval knight, this is absolutely ridiculous. The athletic reality. As we mentioned in point number 1, knights were athletes. A knight who needed a crane to get on his horse would be dead in 5 minutes on the battlefield. War is chaotic. Horses die. Knights fall off. If you couldn't get back on your horse instantly, you were useless. The real story, the destrier. Horse. Not only were the knights agile, but the horses were special too. Movies show huge, slow, heavy horses like Clydesdales. But the medieval war horse called a destrier was more like a modern sports car. They were not giant monsters. They were muscular, fast, and highly trained. A knight could vault, jump onto his horse in full armor without even using the stirrups. There are historical training manuals that show young squires practicing jumping onto horses while wearing chainmail. The crane is a funny image, but it belongs in a cartoon, not in a history book. If a knight saw a crane on a battlefield, he would probably laugh at you. 5. Taking off helmets in battle. This is the lie that makes historians scream at the TV screen. In every movie, the main character is in the middle of a huge, bloody battle. Arrows are flying, swords are swinging. And what does the hero do? He takes off his helmet so he can have a dramatic conversation or look at the enemy with his own eyes. The importance of the face. I understand why movies do this. They pay the actor millions of dollars, so they want to show his face. They want you to see his emotions. But in real life, this is suicide. The helmet is the most important piece of armor. The head is the most vulnerable part of the body. On a medieval battlefield, danger came from everywhere. Archers were shooting arrows into the sky, and they fell like rain. You didn't even have to see the archer to get killed. A stray arrow falling from above would kill a man instantly if he wasn't wearing a helmet. The real story, the death of King Harold II. We have a famous example of what happens when you are not careful with your head protection. At the Battle of Hastings in 1066, King Harold II of England was fighting William the Conqueror. According to the famous Bayeux Tapestry and many historians, King Harold was killed when an arrow hit him directly in the eye. He was wearing a helmet, but the arrow found the tiny gap. Now imagine if he had taken his helmet off completely. He wouldn't have lasted 10 seconds. There is also the story of William the Conqueror in the same battle. A rumor spread that William was dead. His army started to panic and run away. To stop the panic, William did lift his helmet up for just a few seconds to shout, "I am alive! Look at me!" This was considered incredibly brave and incredibly stupid. It was a huge risk. He did it for 10 seconds and then put it back down immediately. Knights did not ride around with their hair blowing in the wind. They stayed inside their metal shells because they wanted to go home alive. So the next time you watch a medieval movie, you will see it with different eyes. You will know that the armor is not heavy, the swords are useless against plate, the knights were not always nice guys, no one used cranes, and taking off your helmet is a death sentence. The reality of the Middle Ages was more complex, more athletic, and much more brutal than Hollywood shows us. Real knights were not clumsy turtles. They were elite killing machines who valued survival over looking cool. Thank you for joining me to bust these myths. I hope you feel smarter than the average movie watcher now. Which of these lies did you believe before today? Did you think the armor was heavy? Tell me the truth in the comments below. If you enjoyed this battle for the truth, please like this video, share it with your movie-loving friends, and subscribe to 5-Point Historian. Stay sharp, keep your helmet on, and I will see you in the next video.